This is part 18 of the restoration of the bodywork parts of Mark Morgan's FZ600. Now previously we had done several coats of primer on the seat, on the side, did some bodywork. I took the other fairing off the wall and got it ready, totally cleaned up, soap and water. Now it's been cleaned up the usual way with simple green and prep all, but you can see here are some of the things we need to deal with. There's some bodywork issues here, some crazing of the paint here. And what we'll try to do is get all of that paint off. There's been a crack, a serious crack here that's been repaired, a crack here. It looks like, if I flip this over, it looks like what Mark has done, and done correctly, is just laminate on some heavy carbon fiber and made some carbon fiber repairs in the corners, which all are fine. That's all going to be just fine. But what we have to do now is the cosmetic part of it. We have to put a nice smooth finish on this, and maybe before the end of this session get it in primer. So the first part of doing any big part like this, and of course here, these are some of the issues that we have. The paint that's on here, however old the bike is, I'm sure it's a historic bike. And we don't know if we're going to have any contamination issues, so one of the things I've tried to in the last couple of times that we've run into these contamination issues is put a primer sealer on rather than the self-etching primer, which, well, so far we've had luck with that. But here I can see this is already a real problem. This is paint crazing that's in the white paint that's already on there, which I didn't even put on. So that's an issue, but the first thing is to get out the, and look, I do the John Pothia trick with my gloves, find any bad spots. That's a bad spot. That's one. Here, 3, 4, in here. Try to get the big, giant, rough stuff done by machine. Then I'll take the final thing with some 400 or even 220 for this because it's kind of rough, and get the surface so that the paint will bond. That's the biggest thing at this point in time, is get rid of the grease and wax, which we've already done with simple green, and then get the surface etched so that the primer does this. It has a tooth. It's not this, it's this. Now some of the spots on this are worse than others. This is really not a big deal up here to take care of. Whenever it's a flat spot, a corner and an edge, I use the pointy tool. For a flat spot, the big Ryobi. So that basically straightens out one of the 4 or 5 things we have to deal with. That shouldn't require any extra Bondo. Up here, I don't know what these little holes are. There's in several of the other parts. Somebody might have put some accessories or who knows what. Now the trick here is, and it's a significant thing, any of the paint that's already crazed, we know has some contamination, something that it doesn't like. So we want to get rid of all that paint. Now, as I'm working my way out here, this is the part that I know this is a severe crack, and I know it's backed, so it should be easy to do with this. Now, here's a really good trick. This is one of the better tricks you can pick up off of this video. You can take a clean paper towel, and I want to show this up close. you have a little crack here where this part has been repaired. There's a very small crack. I want to take some thin CA. That Bondo will not stick in there the way it should. We'll always have that be a problem. Now it's going to be the dust in the paper towel that kicks that off. So if I'm aggressive enough, do not stop the paper towel. Now if I really quickly go up and sand it, now remember that technique. What happens now, the dust from the plastic has gone down with the CA that hasn't kicked off yet, and it's made a nice, like concrete. And we can do the same thing right over again. You can do this as many times as you want to. And now what we have, where that crack was, we have concrete, and it's more than likely, there's a lot better chance it's not going to show in the final cosmetic part, or when we prime it or paint it, a lot solider than it would be if we used Bondo. Now all the detail parts of this are easier to do with this tool. And I want to be real careful to get every edge radius. Even down in there where you won't really see it. And another very important thing, anywhere the paint doesn't look solid, where it looks crazed or it's chipping or peeling, or like those original Benelli parts where you could just take the paint and peel it up with your bare hand. You want to get that all, the more etching the better. The more you can sand it, the better. Now the final part of this is going to be, and I'm going to go get the tub of water with some soap in it, a little bit of Dawn, and wet sand this whole part out, and it'll be ready for primer. Next step, some 220 wet, some soapy water, and block this whole part down. Until every part of it I can run my hand over, even in the dark, and not feel any of the Bondo or the JB Weld or the repairs, and to get a good etch on everything. And this will be time consuming because I don't want to just skip this step. And when you do, you wind up 10 times the amount of time later on to straighten it out. So this is an important step, and to get all the edges radiused. And my goal here is if I get this in primer, we haven't had much painting with it lately. And I will wait for a painting day because we're doing that pearl white would be the next step on this project. And that pearl white, it had better lay down just perfectly. If any little glitches in it, you see them right away. And Mark is a very demanding customer. Demanding is the right word. But anyway, and we're going to get to see some of his magic on video very soon. He has given me an idea I can do to fix my driveway, and going to show me how to do it, supervise it, or do it, or whatever. And we'll see how that works out. And that's what he does for a living, concrete restoration. So He's got to be better at it than I am. But then everybody is. Anyway, we'll see how that works out. This is the part of it that, and I wouldn't let the camera run for the next, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, but this is the part you're always tempted to skip. You know, I'm folding back the sandpaper because I want to get right into that groove, right down in there. Etch that all out. Down in there. Everything should have an etched surface, and everything should be radius, especially around here. This is one of the focal points. You see the openings where the engine sticks through, around the scoop edges. Anywhere where there's an edge. And when they're nice and that light just picks up off the clear, wow, it looks so nice. And the last step before primer, our good old friend, and by the way, listen to the Benelli can now. The Benelli Prep All. Anyway, this is always the final step just before shooting the primer. And looking around for anything, ooh, as he breaks the light, anything we might have missed along the way. Any sharp edges on the edge. Now this is extremely important because it's going to be a test for our sealer primer. This is where this paint will have a problem, is where we've gone into the raw plastic. And the same thing with the Ducati mirrors, or it really isn't the Ducati, it's any mirror. It's when you're dealing with the raw plastic that isn't sealed with primer or paint, that's where potentially you have that possibility that, and we haven't eliminated it, we've minimized it. So I'm gonna let this dry for a second and see if we can get some nice coat of primer on that and see how it's gonna lay down. Now the good news is tomorrow should be a painting day. We have all our parts prepped up, ready to do our pearl white, and we really want to have the weather perfect for that. So we're going to end this session. We've got everything in prime. That's going to be pearl white. In the last couple of sessions, we really got this pretty much ready to go. We should have a very, well, you never know if it's going to be an enjoyable day. Hopefully the weather tomorrow will be better. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.